John in DC. You're live with Eric and V. How are you doing?
What's up, guys?
Hey there.
Hey.
I'm good. How are you?
Really dang good.
I've been watching this show for years, and I have to say, you guys are some of the smartest people I've ever met. Like, I know I'm like fanboying right now, but like, I can't believe I'm talking to you guys right now.
Well, thank you, John.
And a religious caller to boot. John, I appreciate that. That's really sweet.
Yeah, what can we help you with?
Yeah.
Let's chat.
Oh, yeah, of course. So just to give a little bit of like background on who I am. So I'm a teen from like outside of Washington, D.C. I've grown up in a Muslim household for my entire life. Basically, like I've done a lot of Muslim things. I actually just got back from like reading the Quran for like around 3 hours today. So
Okay.
like I guess it just shows how religious like my family is, and like I've honestly I've gone through two phases in my life where I've been extremely religious and I've been extremely irreligious, and now I honestly don't know what I am. So I mean I've just been trying to find out what I believe are my religious practices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
That makes a lot of sense.
I've been there.
So have I.
Is there anything in particular we can help you with or chat about today that'll maybe push you in one way or another?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. So I've been definitely reading a lot and like about like economics and like psychology and everything, and I've honestly started to wonder like how religion has played a role in our society, and like how religion like has impacted people's brains to believe in such a way that like they accept one thing when the answer's right in front of them. I just don't understand it. And
Hey, John?
I mean, the psychology of the religion brain is just so interesting to me.
Definitely. John, do you have us on speakerphone?
Yes, I do have you on speakerphone.
Could you take us off speakerphone? There's a really bad echo.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's
Is
okay.
it better?
Way better.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, listen to that beautiful voice. Okay.
So, John, I think you're onto something really important here. Thinking about how religion has impacted society and all of the different branches of study is one of the most interesting things that I can think to study. Like, I will dive into that, head first. I would also encourage you to flip that, right? And see how society has influenced religion as well. Because we tend to study this from a place of religion is this thing that is a kind of a monolith, kind of this thing that is outside of other forces, and it impacts its will onto other societies, other cultures, other organizations. And that's true, but it goes the other way too. And for me, that was kind of that final nail in the coffin of realizing that at least the version of Christianity that I believed in was not accurate, because I saw exactly through history how individuals and how societies and how different areas of study changed the theology over time to get us to a place that we think of today as being somehow ancient or historical or, unchangeable. So I love where you're going with this. And as you're continuing to grow in this area, just make sure you're flipping that around as well and looking at, okay, so religion impacts psychology. Absolutely. We could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
Psychology also impacts religion, right? And so make sure you're doing that full circle, and you've got enough study material to last you a long time.
You do. And take your time with it too. It is a really fun journey. I know for a while, once I kind of hit that point, I became an atheist. I just didn't give a crap about religion for a while. I just left it alone. Mm-hmm. And instead I devoted myself entirely to becoming insufferably smug.
Still getting out of that.
Yeah, still working on that.
Yeah.
But go on that journey, man. And give us a call and let us know how you're doing along the way.
Of course. You guys are definitely some of like the most like knowledgeable people about religion that I know. So I just had a few questions, if I may ask you, because
go for it. What's
we
up?
can try our best.
Ask them. Yeah.
High bar has been set. We need to make sure we ace this.
All right.
Yeah. So just one question, a few questions I had, to be honest with you, was just like, when you think about like the Dark Ages, right, and you see how like Christianity was able to stunt the growth of technology for so many centuries, how was that allowed to happen when there was so much advancements going on during the classical age, when in the era of like the Dark Ages, like it just stopped. Like I don't understand how religion could just stop it that quickly. Something like, what was wrong with people back then? I hate to sound it like that, but that's my question.
That's a good question.
And I think it makes a lot more sense when you realize that while religion played a huge aspect in it, especially because, you had the people who were in charge, either said that they were, appointed by God or were heads of the church. And so while that had a huge piece to play, it wasn't the only contributor to the Dark Ages. And because of that, once you contextualize it, you can kind of see how those things fit together.
One thing that really stunted a lot of it is illiteracy. In fact, illiteracy to the point of people were considered outlaws if they taught people how to read the Bible or translated it into English. And so what it did was create this false kind of binary between the priests and the people in charge who could read and speak in Latin, which is the only way that the Bible was written at that point. And so they could say, oh, well, blah, 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 and that means that you should give me all your money or whatever. And so there was actually a very big revolution where people started translating the Bible into English and allowing, in a very small way, the average person into that place of power where they could interpret what they thought was the word of God. And of course, that made it difficult because then we got all the denominations we have now and everybody thinks that they know best. But at the same time, the illiteracy and that hard and fast and legislated delineation between the people who were educated and the people who were not allowed to be impacted that a lot.
Got one more? Got one more before we move on to the next caller?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. I just have one more question. So, like, basically based on, like, psychology and stuff, I've seen so many religious people that have, like, the signs in front of them that, like, their God doesn't exist, yet they still make that conscious decision to just believe in them, even though they know, like, this God isn't answering your prayers. Now, why do people just, like, why do they succumb themselves to the delusion when they know it is?
I can definitely help with that.
Yeah.
First off, I do want to say, Vi and I are not historians. we're not psychologists.
Hedging all of the bets.
Yeah, I want to make sure that people have the bar nice and low because we're lay people doing our best.
We've been just doing the same kind of research that you're embarking on now. So this is just what we've gleaned from doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So here's the exercise that I have for you after this call. And I'm sure you've done it before, but it is good to remember. And that is, I want you to take a white piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and draw a dot on it. And then fix your gaze in one particular direction and move that dot until it disappears. There you have a blind spot right in the middle of your vision. And your brain works very, very hard to hide that from you. You fill in those things on your own, given the context of what is around it. Mm-hmm. We all have blind spots. People settle into that even without good evidence, even without good reason, even when it's detrimental to them, because they have that same blind spot that we all do. It's the same reason you stuck in it for as long as you did, and we did for ourselves. It often takes being exposed to and working with those ideas to feel comfortable enough to even try it. And so why do they do it? Because they're just like us, man.
There's also the idea of you can't necessarily choose your beliefs, but you can choose to bolster specific beliefs, right? I can say, I didn't choose to be a Christian, right? I grew up in that. I was convinced it was outside of my control. But when I started questioning things, I had a choice to make. And I could choose to start diving into this and asking those hard questions and dealing with this discomfort. Or I could choose to go find someone that gave me an answer that I liked, that stopped me from asking more questions, that put me to rest. And so it could be that while you see these people as having this ability to choose whether or not they're believing, whether or not they're accepting these things, it could be that they're at that inflection point, right? At that moment where the paths branch away, and they might just be choosing to take the path more traveled, right? They're choosing to take that path that is going to keep them safe emotionally, because it is a hard process. And if you've been going through it, you know it's uncomfortable to start looking at your life and being like, okay, where was I wrong? And how wrong was I? And how do I fix this? And a lot of people just don't have that emotional or mental energy. And the sad thing is that initial hurdle stops them from getting to a place where they don't have to even worry about it anymore. So I think being aware that something that you offer, a question you ask, a piece of information that you give them could be the difference between them choosing to go in the direction they would have or choosing to continue questioning.
Yeah.
Of course. No, that makes complete sense. I totally understand. I've been in that same predicament myself. And as you guys said, you guys have been in the same predicament, you guys too. So I understand that this is my last question, but I just want to thank you guys for taking my call. It's honestly been great just to talk to you guys. And
awesome. Well, I'm so glad you called in. And as you continue discovering these things and doing research, if you have more questions, you are absolutely welcome to call back.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. It's been great and it's been a pleasure. I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys.
Good. We did too. Take care, man.
Have a good rest of your day.
All right.
We had some really awesome theist callers.
We have, yeah. I mean, who would have thunk, right? We actually have things that we can agree on and move forward with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love doing this.
It's awesome.
I love doing this. Yay. As far as the insufferably smug thing, I know. And it's also the face and it's also the voice. If you don't like me, totally understood. I don't like me most of the time either, but there are other shows. Just find what works for you and find that community that works for you. That's all you got to do. Promise. I'm not upset. I'm really not.